Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This will be part 2 on the Ford Lightning or Ford Harley Davidson edition, sorry, supercharged, coming from California, Justin Sanders. He sent this computer a couple of weeks ago, and his concern is crank no start. So I recorded the first part where I was able to reproduce his concern, and obviously because it's here, I was able to make it react quicker. Obviously this is a simulation, and so the signals are cleaner and faster than a cranking engine to the battery and a starter and so on. But I was definitely able to reproduce the long crank or crank no start, let's say, because I was able to crank and it didn't even recognize the RPM signal to like 2 or 3 seconds. And 2 or 3 seconds with my full spectrum signals in here, it's like forever in the car. That will definitely be no start. I was having another computer from another vehicle, Marco, same year, same exactly thing that I was able to connect and prove that that computer, as soon as I turned the signals on, it was immediately a spark an injection in there. And Justin, I have already do the parameter reset to my cluster because the one I have connected here is my instrument cluster, my key, and my key reader or antenna, right? But so I performed the repairs. He took a little bit to approve the repairs. Obviously, it's an expensive repair on these computers. The analog to digital converter, just that part alone, which I keep just the minimum quantities. And I keep 2 because they are super expensive. They're out of my hands, and I have to pay whatever they sell it to me, right? So, but yeah, so this is already done. So we're going to do the test. So right now, I have it on the bench. So Justin can see it open. This is a EK02 computer. You can definitely see that from there. And again, that's my cluster. So the first thing that I want to do is, well, put the full probe, which is a simulator that I use for inject the signals. I have the scanner ready, but it's not connected. Obviously, everything is off right now, except for the full probe. In the full probe, I'm supplying signal 51, and that is very unique to this tool. That's a crankshaft position sensor to camshaft position sensor correlation signal that I use for lowest speed because that signal doesn't work. It works from like 150 to 550 RPMs. In order to test the high RPMs, I need to use another signal, which is signal 7. But obviously, the cranking problem in this vehicle's crank no start is in the cranking condition, which is here. So that's a signal that I use on the first part. And that's what we're going to test it on. So in the first video, which I'm going to put the link to that video in the description of this one, so you can go and see it. It's in the first, I think, 10-15 minutes, you will see the whole test that I do, connections and everything. But yeah, I was pushing the buttons in here on my other box in here, which is for powers and grounds and communication. So when I turn this on, it should run instantly. And when you were able to see on the full probe, injectors and coils, there is only 4 injectors. The one there's like in the image, and the green image on the bottom. Yeah, you see the green image. It has kind of like an RPM gauge on the center, and right next to that we have 4 injectors are the first signals you see there, and 2 coils. Even though I have in my left hand here all the injectors and all the coils going through a load box, 2 load boxes that are connected to the full probe simulator. So, but in the software, we can only see 4 injectors and 2 coils. But that is good enough because you will be able to see the signals as I turn this on, running instantly. And the RPM, the cluster, since it's now disconnected from the battery because I got no power, no ignition, it will do the sweep test, but the signals will be even present even before the gauge does or finish that sweep test. In the first part, the cluster was able to do that sweep test, come back to minimum, and it was no signals. 2-3 seconds, and then the signals showed up. But this is not the case no more, and I'm going to prove it now. So I'm going to turn battery power on and ignition now. You see it running? Look at the gauge. This is still doing the sweep test, but we already have the signals. So this is completely repaired. And I can hear before it was like a very erratic injection and coils. Now it's not the case. Now it's a nice and steady, completely nice sound. I get familiar, and that's what I use always 400 RPM for these tests and low RPMs, because I want to get myself used to that sound, that rhythmic sound that I know that all injectors and all coils are running This microphone removes the sound, so you will probably not be able to hear that, but I do. And that is what we have now. So let me connect to the scanner, because I want to see how the signal, as far as RPM is looking. We can probably do automatic ID. It's a 2003, so it should do automatic ID. Another good thing that you always want to see is if it's a good communication between the cluster and the computer, you should see the mileage on the instrument cluster showing up. Like this is my cluster, 132,394 miles. But we can see also the needle on the RPMs, nice and steady. Yeah, that is Justin's bean, which I don't think he wrote down. Oh yeah, he did. So in the bottom of the page, hopefully you can see that. Otherwise, I'm going to read. The last digits are KD24463, which is exactly what we have in the scanner, obviously, right? I want to show that because I have other computers in here. So I want to have no misunderstanding that was my computer the one you test, and that's the reason I connect the scanner. And also to see the signal for the crankshaft position sensor or the RPM signal. So we're going to enter in the engine, automatic with air conditioning, and we're going to go into data display, and we're going to go into a submenu that is the accessories. I always pick that one up. Again, repetition, muscle memory, you make yourself faster and easier to recognize if anything is wrong. All right, so we're going to do a custom in here. We're going to deselect all and just select the RPM pit, because again, that's all I want to do. And then we're going to put them in the graph mode. And look at that signal. Nice and steady, no drops, no nothing. So that signal is like a bullet. It's nice and straight signal. And that's exactly what we're looking for to see. All right, so that was, 400 to 399. You see, it's a 1 RPM. So that was the difference in there. And that is only because it's such a clean signal that anything the scanner is trying to show, but right there is a 1 RPM change. So that's no change. All right, so I'm going to turn the signal off. And we're going to go over to the high RPM signal. So I'm going to turn the ignition back on. You see it went out to 0 on the scanner. So I'm going to change the signal and over to signal 7. And we're going to put them into 100. We see that running instantly. Now I can grab that needle and get down to like 700 or so RPMs, 750, 700. That is completely good. And we want to see if that change is actually me. Again, it's such a big or a small range in there, let's say, on the RPM, that we can see those changes of fluctuation, but that is completely normal. And nothing to do with the problem that he experienced. Again, this is only in cranking condition. And also the reason I'm trying to do is, or while I'm talking, is keeping the computer running, getting a warm up. These computers warm up really quick. And I was going to also show you, because I got a question from a customer, what is a normal computer temperature inside the, even if it's not in the engine room or remote, like kind of like in the firewall or so. Let me just show you this IC temperature inside the computer. And this has been running for what? 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 105 degrees. So you see what I mean? Let's see the microprocessor. It's a 90 degrees. So I always will say that from 90 to 120, 130 degrees is a normal temperature. When they're inside the engine room, they can go up to, 160. I mean, you're talking about an engine room that goes up to, especially when the exhaust is there, 200, 250 degrees. Obviously, the case of the computer will dissipate the temperature. And if you're reading the outside temperature on the case, remember, because they're very different. This one is either at 80, 85 degrees. So because this dissipates the temperature really quickly. But that is not the internals, right? So like I said, and the more this runs, the more those ICs are going to get very warm. Look at that IC right now. 213 degrees. Completely normal. Completely normal. Why? Because that is one of the diodes, and it gets super toasty on these computers all the time. And if you go and see that first part, the second computer that I test for Marco, I show this, and that's the temperature it runs, 220 to 260 degrees. So yes, that's going to dissipate, and that's what makes the computer get warm, right? Because you got ICs or transistors that are cycling, switching, and that creates temperature, and they are to dissipate the temperature. A cold computer running, that is actually abnormal. Something is not, dissipating the temperature properly. All right, guys, by the adjusting your computer, it's now fully repaired. This is just a short test to show Justin that everything is working good. So let me turn, again, the signal off. We're going to turn the ignition back on, and we're going to go back to signal 51. And we're going to put 400 RPMs. And we can see, boom, instantly. Look at that signal, nice and straight, no glitches. When we have problems with this signal, it's like up and down from 400 to 0, not 1 RPM. That 1 RPM is because the scale was so tight, it was just reading 400 perfectly. So anything that changes, even if it's 1 RPM, was shown. In here, it would be very hard to see 1 RPM now because the scale is from 0 to 100 RPM. So you see what I mean? So the scale was very tight. But yeah, it's looking good. So I'm going to keep that signal on, and I'm going to power off the computer and the cluster. So let me move you over to here so you can see that now the cluster is also off. And we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to battery on, ignition going on now. And we can see the signal instantly going on even before the needles on the cluster reset. So this is without a doubt, Justin, your computer fully repaired. Now testing from cold start to warm start, no issues at all. All right, guys, thank you so much. If you have a Ford Lightning, any Ford computer, but if you have a Ford Lightning, a Ford Harley Davidson edition supercharged, don't even spend time and money into other companies that they don't know what they're doing. I have repaired computers from other companies that they were deemed not repairable. I have repaired them all. I have completely mapped out these computers that I know exactly what all the signals are coming from. Yes, there might be one here and there that they're already butchered or shorted and damaged internal paths that cannot be repaired, that might not be repairable. But if I said that it's not repairable, it's because nobody can repair it. That's it. But I can replace microprocessor, memories, and I have all the parts in stock. So your delay will be very minimum. All right, guys. Again, if you're here also in the channel, please don't forget to subscribe. That really helped my small business a lot. Every time you subscribe, it's also for free. YouTube promotes more and more my videos, and that's how you find me. So please do so if you can. That really will be really appreciated. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.